Wednesday. Sorry, Facebook was trying to talk to me. So today, Ask Me Anything, I come on live and I answer your questions. So we had 2 great questions. And by the way, if you have a question or something comes up, just comment, and I have my glasses on, I can see. All right? So first question was a really good one. Well, they're both really good. But the first question was, what do you think about high knees, and should I use them for my sprint warm-ups? So we're going to talk about the drill high knees. And the second question was about arms. So the question was, how do I control my trunk swing with my arm swing? And so let's go in reverse. I'm going to answer that question first. So it's very common, right, when we see running to think that we need to be doing the swing. And then I want to help you to understand that the swing is a natural response to the feet. So arms balance legs. And in running, our brain can feel the feet, right? It's connecting to the ground with the foot. So really the arms are for you to hold balance. So in the beginning, when I practice just standing in balance, if you put your arms in a balanced pose, then it's going to help you to hold that same balance in your run. Okay, so when we're standing here in the running pose, the figure 4 of running, so then I really want to think about where I'm placing everything. So I want my ears over my shoulders, and I want my shoulders over my hips. So that's number 1. So I always pretend like I'm on a skewer. Got a line running through my body, and I want to stay really on that line. So everything holds on this line. So the reality is if I didn't bend my elbows, the arms, right, would just hang by your side, but you're not quite as balanced. So the bending of the elbows in the standing pose is a balance. Okay, now I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to get off my single foot. But you should challenge yourself. It's a great time to practice standing in your pose, right? We all can do some balance work. So I'll just switch feet. So when I'm standing here in my pose, and my arms are nice and bent, this is when I'm on the ground, right? So really understand that in running, we can only control what happens while we're on the ground. Otherwise, we don't want to have anything to do with it. And that's really important because we're going to talk about, right, what's our action? Our action is to pull the foot. So if my action is to pull, then my action is only with my foot instead of with my upper body. So here's the really cool part. If you practice, like I said, putting yourself in balance, well then I also have to think about what happens when I go out of balance. And in running itself, what happens when you go out of balance is, like I said, your arms match your legs. So here I am in balance. So remember, as soon as I go out of balance, I'm going to pull this foot up, this foot will drop. So basically it's like you're going to have one arm that responds when you pull, you unweight. One arm will usually go a little bit back, the other arm will go a little bit forward. And that starts to create that swing, but it's happening because when you're running and you're traveling, there's a point in the travel when your legs are separated, okay? So the arm swing is a response to your pull. And if you hold this line, this ears, shoulders, hips, and line, the torso, you see it's allowed to rotate. Remember, I'm on a skewer, right? So I can actually rotate through the torso. I just have to avoid this movement because I'm on a skewer, right? Now that being said, I'm not actively moving my torso. Keep that in mind. But you need to be okay in recognizing that the torso itself is independent of the hips, you see? Just like your head and your neck. They're all independent swivels. So if you're running and your torso is moving, doing this, that means you're doing that. That means you're creating that movement because you see it's not related to my feet, swinging my torso. So this movement, please understand that while a person is running, if there is movement, it's because it's a byproduct of running rather than me doing this. So this is an important thing to understand. So I want you to try this with me. Put your hands by your side. I did this earlier with my membership, and we had the same conversation. So hold yourself up and just run in place. So what are your arms doing right now? They're kind of just hanging out doing nothing, right? They're not helping you balance. But there's also no swing, there's no tension. Okay, so now keep pulling your feet and swing your arms. That's so much work. You understand? Like that is trying to do two actions when it's unnecessary. It didn't need to be there. So the difference is if you learn to hold the arms in balance, when you practice your standing pose, and you understand that you're not doing anything, you're not holding tension, you're just holding. And you understand that you want to hold in your run, your upper body lifted and forward, then I promise you, when you're running, your arms themselves will start to naturally swing. And I want to say a really important thing is that you certainly will have everybody. Like when I first started running, I was not a runner. My background is not running. It is now because I'm old. So I've now been running for 30 years. However, I didn't start running until I was in my, until I was 20, until I started college, 19, 20. Then I started running. And so I don't have a background in track and field, anything like that. So when I actually started coaching running, I looked into how to teach running. And this is funny now, but I initially read the book, did the videos before I had any coaching. So I understood, this is what my mind understood, was that I needed to hold my arms like this. So I literally ran for a while like this, like holding my arms, like I was holding a plotter. I mean, just because I misunderstood what my arms were supposed to do, you see? So really your arms are bent, but if you let them go and let them do what they just naturally will do, there will be a swing. So what I recommend is when you're running, if you look down and your arms are doing this, then open your elbows back. If you look and you're like, wow, there's literally no movement, then there's tension in your shoulders. Let it out. Release your tension. Hold your body up, fall forward, and there should be some movement. Remember, it's also, the faster you run, the more you see of movement. But remember, it's a byproduct. There's no way, like a sprinter, in 100% their arms are moving. Yeah. But you realize their cadence is like 250 plus. So to try to pick up your feet that quickly, they don't have time to also be doing this. It's just they allow it to happen. So it's the same with movement in my upper body, right? I'm holding ears, shoulders, hips in line. So this part of my body is a hold. And then I allow myself to go up and forward. Whatever happens in the air, happens. The arm swing happens. Things like stride length happen. So once you start to kind of let go of the tension, it's going to make a huge difference. Now what can help with that, of course, is doing like upper body simple arm circles. Start to get more comfortable with movement in the arms themselves, stretch, stuff like that. But otherwise, let go of your arms, right? If you feel tense, probably it's tense, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, the second question was about high knees. So, and I just said this, I was not a sprinter in my life. However, I now have been around running for 30 plus years. So one of the challenges that we have in running is we have forever and ever mimicked what we see. So there's not a standard of running, right? There really isn't. Everyone has their theories and people have their concepts and all of this. So why do I believe in the pose? Because, well, after 30 years, after all, I've been 22 with pose. Gravity, somebody said, well, how did they say it earlier? You have to be open, your mind has to be open to receive new information. And some of us, when we are already in a certain mindset, it's very hard to hear new information. I believe that since I went into running with an open mind. I just wanted to not just be a better runner, I wanted to help people be better runners. I wanted to be a running coach. My mind was open to new thoughts of running itself. So I was wide open to I would like to learn how to run. I'm not very good at it. I would like to be better. And something to keep in mind, remember I was a strength coach, lots of weightlifting, lots of aerobic classes, so I was fit, I had cardio, I had muscles, I had all the tools. I had no technique, I had no idea what I was doing, right? And I was pushing, I was reaching, I was trying to pump my arms, all that kind of stuff, and I wasn't getting anywhere but injured. So just keep in mind that that's where my mindset has always been, is how do I help people not hurt themselves so we can sign up for the race? Because the fun part for me, I spent 17 years signing up for all the races and taking people to races and coaching them, and can't do that if you're injured. All right, so then high knees. And let's talk about high knees themselves, or the knee itself first. The knee itself is a joint, right? And the joint, it's a hinge joint. So really, if you hold everybody just pick your knee up. Go ahead, just everybody pick your knee up. So there's the knee, right? So you see, when we think of high knees, don't you think I need to pull my knee like here? Like it's a high knee, right? So there's my thought, high knee. Well, if you think about that, if I was running and pulling, like let's do some high knees. 3, 2, 1, high knees. So the first thing that has to happen is my shoulders are going back behind my head. Now I can hold my shoulders up, but then my knees won't go as high. You see? So the first thing that happens when you high knees, it takes you out of the running pose, because now I don't have my ears, shoulders, hips in line. So is it a bad exercise? Did it get my heart rate up? Sure. Does it have muscle elasticity in the feet? Sure. But why would I try to do an exercise that isn't helping me with the movement I'm trying to learn? You see what I mean? So high knees and butt kicks. Let's do both, but high knees first. When you pull your foot, your knee stays right there. You pull the foot up, you see that? The knee points down. Your femur points down. So if you think that you're supposed to be lifting your knee, then one, you're not going to use your hamstring, which is your running muscle. Look at that. So much potential back there. You want to use this little guy. Because the reality is that when you lift your knee, you're using your hip flexor. And my hip flexor, if you keep doing this, and I'm trying to hold shoulders over hips, you saw you cannot. You cannot use the hip flexor and hold. Because every time you lift with the hip flexor, the shoulder is going to respond like this. It's very subtle, but it just happens. So you got to teach yourself, one, I want to use my hamstring, and then have the understanding that I pull my foot, right, in running. Use this. Now, when gravity takes you forward and takes your leg is going to extend. But my knee didn't lift. You see, my body went forward, my leg extended. So we see this like amazing flight phase, and then at the end of it, when you're pulling, the knee went right back where it was. See, so the knee actually doesn't go up. The knee actually stays and just gets out of the way of the foot. It's the foot that goes up, the knee stays down. So there's just no need to communicate with knees. Like, don't even talk to your knees. They're just fine. Bend them. Bend your knees. Because the action in running happens from below the knee. And if I can get this line, see, here's my ankle, here's my knee. The more this line can go this way, the better run I'm going to have. That's the key. Because how quick I can pull when I have that great line, right? So in running, keeping that knee bent allows you to fall and pull. So therefore, I really encourage people to do pull drills. Because think about it. Most people aren't married to their drills, meaning the emotional attachment in running is to running, not to drills, or even stretches. Like, say you asked me, hey Valerie, could you just show me a calf stretch? And I'm like, yeah, here's a good one. And I showed you this one. And I go, ooh, you know what? Another good one, right here. Like, they're all really good. See what I mean? There's a lot of good stretches, and you'd be like, oh, I'll try that. Because we don't really have an attachment, I guess, if you will, to like a certain stretch. However, if you say to someone, I'm going to change how how you run, they're like, ah, I don't want to do that. But if you start to just look at running differently and see it differently, it'll just help you change in your own running. So I have nothing against high knees itself or butt kicks, but just remember that they're a variation of an elasticity drill, and they're really done kind of just to warm people up, right? Why do people do them? They do them to get their heart rate up in place in a boot camp or in a warm-up. So my point is, if I'm going to spend any amount of time working on my run, I want to do the movement that actually is running. And so once you start to feel it, then it helps you. One, by the way, when you quit thinking about your knees, most of you guys will realize you were working harder than you needed to, and your knees will thank you. Because the fun part about pose method is 53% reduction on the knee. Isn't that nice? The knee stays down here. It just appears to go up, and that's what we see. The forward we see is up. Sorry, I thought I saw a question. Okay, I'm gonna have, well, that was my 2 questions. So the third question was one I got this morning. It's about hills, so I'll just answer it quickly, and I'll let you guys go. One of the things to keep in mind, whatever direction I run, not direction, I'm sorry. If I go uphill or downhill, there's one thing that stays the same, or straight. Okay, one thing that stays the same for all of it, and that is the ears, shoulders, hips stay in line, and your job is pulling. Up, 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 pulling the foot. So running stays running, that's important. Here's where the variation happens. On a straight or an uphill, it's pose, fall, pull. Okay, it's very important. So on a straight or uphill, I'm using gravity as acceleration. So you're in the pose, your body falls forward, and you pull the foot. On an uphill, you want to fall more, and the ground is coming to you. So you take your chest up and forward, keep your cadence low, and increase cadence as you climb. So as I go up the hill, I'm holding my body up and forward, and my feet are going up, up, up. Really small, low, quick pulls. Cadence goes up as I climb. Okay, very important. It's the holding of the upper body and the uphill that's the challenge. So fall as far as you can today, and then stay there. And let your feet pull with you up the hill. Your feet should feel weightless. You're only always pulling 2% of your body weight. So what's heavy? My breathing, my chest, my upper body. This is 68% of your body weight. So you holding this forward is honestly the harder part. The pulls should be light and quick, okay? On a downhill or on a treadmill, there's no falling, okay? On a downhill, gravity is obviously already a very active player. The ground is sloping away from you. So most people, as they're going downhill, they're holding their shoulders back here, and I showed you that earlier. It causes the leg to go out. So then they're like, oh, going down the hill like that, right? You got to get comfortable with, on a downhill, falling is free, it's already happening, it's really fun. So if you stay, try this next time. Stay in place, the bottom of the hill, take your shoulders up and forward, and you will start going down that hill. The more you bend the knee, the less opportunity the foot has to come forward. See, if my knee's really bent, going forward doesn't make sense. Pulling feels very natural. So keep that in mind. Uphill, fall, little bitty pulls. Downhill, there's no fall. I just have to hold my pose, and as soon as I start to feel my body going, up, 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 up. Same thought all the time. I'm always thinking pull, up. I like that, up, up, up. But honestly, give yourself have some fun. Go play on the hills. Let me know what you think. But guys, start to just, the more you let go of control of your movement, the more fun you're going to have in your run. So throughout your run, exhale, let your arms go. But remember, I'm in this skewer, falling forward, and you'll start to feel a little lighter. You'll start to feel a little lifted, and it really is a lot of fun. So Thank you for coming on. Thank you for asking questions. If you have a question you think of anytime, you just put it in the comments or you can send us an email. RunRx. By the way, our quiz is back on. So if you have, say, like a twinge, something's going on, doesn't feel good in your run, just go to runrxquiz.com and it will give you a skill, strength, and self-care tip to help you guys with that. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Thank you.